Hi, my name is Brett Brandon. I'm 57 years old. I'm from Thief River Falls, and I live in Mill River. And I'm a veteran service officer right now, but best job in the world, by the way.
Well, beans were there, and probably won't go back to this, but what's a veteran service officer do, Brett?
It's a veteran who gets hired by the county to help veterans with their VA claims. And any part of the VA that they need help with, and it helps with state benefits, educational benefits, VA home loans. It's tied to a veteran, we help them. We also help the family members.
Very good. So were you drafted, enlisted?
No,
What
I
service?
enlisted, I graduated from UND in 90, and I was looking for a job. I had a degree in criminal justice. I didn't find no jobs because I went to UND, and which is
Because
kinda
you went to
sad.
UND?
Yeah, because I wasn't certified in Minnesota, and I wanted to work there. So I thought I'd get a job with some of the federal agencies, and they had a hiring freeze. So, and I had a lot of money in student loans. So I took the Army Student Loan Repayment Program. I could have went officer, but I didn't, so I went enlisted. And if I go in for my 6 years, they pay my loans off in 3. Good deal. So that's what I did, and that's what got me into the MP Corps, is what I went into then, so I could be a cop.
Let's go back to basics. So from where did you leave from to get the?
Well, MEPS was at Fargo, and then from there we I got shipped to Fort McClellan, Alabama for AIT, one station unit training, so it was basic and AIT.
But did you do basic training?
Yeah,
And where was that at?
Fort McClellan.
Fort McClellan. Okay,
They
so
call it one station unit training.
So how'd you get there?
Well, they flew me down, and we took a bus, and we got there at old dark 30 like everybody else, and met my first drill sergeant, and that's when all hell broke loose.
Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, hurry up, get your dumb asses off the bus, and your mama ain't here no more, and all that good stuff, and we're just like
I can't
tired.
believe they'd talk to you like that.
Well, they still did. There was no stress cards yet.
So what'd you do in basic training? I mean, the basic stuff?
Yeah, basic, and it's all the infantry stuff. Trained us to be infantry. When we got done with that, we just stayed right there. We didn't
What's involved in that? I mean, train you for infantry.
Everybody's got to learn how to be a soldier. Everybody's got to learn how to.
Okay, so like I remember you do the gas masks.
Oh yeah, gas mask and all the ranges, and then going out in the field, playing the war games,
Grenade tosses,
Grenade
stuff
toss.
like that. Yeah. Okay, so
shooting the M60 and the M16, getting familiar with laws and claymore mines, all that good stuff.
okay, so, and that was all during basic, right?
Yeah.
And then you went from basic to
MP training right there, so you learn how to be. There's 2 types of MPs. One that does the routine, patrols, and then the other. Well, there's actually 3, 4. Take that back. And then you got the field MP, where you go out and you help process prisoners and do road control and stuff like that. And then you got the gate guard, or the prison guards. But I wasn't involved with that. And then you got some that will do investigation stuff. That's a little bit higher rank right there. And I see there's one more. I was more interested in doing the patrol stuff. Oh, the guards at the nukes. That was the other one.
guards at the what?
nuke sites.
Okay.
Yeah, security. So when I was waiting, I was supposed to go to Berlin, be part of the Berlin Brigade. That didn't pan out. My top secret wasn't ready, so they shipped me to Italy. So you go into a replacement center in Frankfurt. From there, they decide where you go, and then they send me to Vicenza, Italy. And from there, I went to a nuke site called Site Pluto, and I was a guard there. So you'd work several different shifts, but when you did your main shift, it would be 24 on and then 48 off. And you go back and you just keep rotating, and then you got different little shifts where you got to do other stuff when you're not in that environment.
And this is in Italy?
In Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
3 years, and that's where...
You spent 3 years in Italy?
3 years in Italy. And that's where I met my first CID agent. And I'm like...
CID is?
Criminal Investigation Command for the Army.
Okay.
And I had put in my packet to be an officer. Then I met this guy. He shows up in a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, and he's in the Army, and he's E7. But this is what he wears every day. I'm like, well, what do you do? Well, we do all the felony investigations. Really? Well, that's what I went to school for. I want to be like you. So...
You wanted a Hawaiian shirt?
No, I didn't need that shirt. It was not a good shirt. But if, you know, you don't introduce your rank to people, and they don't need to know. You're there to do your job investigations. That's what I really wanted to do. So I put my packet in for that, and I got accepted, and then went back to Fort McClellan to do CID basic, which was a whole lot different. It was like going to college. It was great. We worked our ass off. Our hardest test was an 8-hour test on a crime scene hill, where you had to process a crime scene. You had a body that was shot, killed. Somehow they were dead. And you had to process that room, and you had to get 90% or better on making sure you marked down all the evidence in the room.
And this is training, right?
This is training.
Okay.
This test took all day. No lunch break. You can take one, you might run out of time, and then you fail. So it was tough. It was passed all my tests all the way through that. It was great. And then I went to my first duty station at Fort Sill. The day I get there, they have a murder.
Real murder?
A real murder. So I go to check in at the office, and they're like, well, we don't have time to deal with you today. Come back, because you're too new. Come back Monday, because they were working 24/7. Because you have to do all the stuff, and if you get as much evidence and get everything going right in the first 48, 72 hours, I think there's a show like 72 hours, you're probably going to solve that case. So when I came back, then, yeah, they didn't give me that case to work on. They were already working on it, getting close to solving it. But they came in and gave me all the worst cases. I had like 30 files that stood about this tall. And they said, you better know that file well. We'll be seeing you. We'll give you 3 days.
So this sets you up for being a veteran service officer then?
It did. It's all about evidence.
And paper.
And paper. You got to prove the case, and you got to be at least 75% or more to help get somebody convicted. If you find the person who did it, you got to be that convincing. For the VA, you just got to be 51%, so it helped.
Okay. So how long were you in Fort Sill?
I was there 3 years.
3 years.
They
How
also
long did you enlist for?
6.
6, okay.
Actually, I signed up for 7, so I was there 7. And some of my buddies were starting to put their warrant officer packets in, but I did not want to go through that and be treated worse than you were in basic training. So I said, to hell with this, I'm getting out. And that kind of opened up my eyes when I got out, because just before I got out, I blew the shoulder out and had to have surgery on it. I wasn't done getting this shoulder fixed. I still needed to do a lot of doctoring, go to rehab and
So when you
stuff.
say you blew it out, rotator cuff or?
Softball, playing softball. Another guy ran into me in this, there was no space in the joint.
Oh, you really tore it up.
So I couldn't lift my arm up. So they had to go out and trim it. And I just got out and I wasn't done with rehab, so I went to the VA thinking, well, I'll get rehab. You know, that's what I need. I had no idea about disability. None. I didn't get no rehab, but I got a disability. So I'm like, really? Well, I guess my shoulder, I don't need to worry about it. And it started to feel better on its own. Still had limitations, but. And then I was helping my dad at a store. I'm like, there's no retirement here. I got to go back in. So I went back in, and
What year was that?
2001, and then I had to fight to get in. I had some issues with a gallbladder, so I had to do a congressional to get the congressman to get the VA to overlook the doctor's opinion that I shouldn't be in until I get my gallbladder out, and there's no need for it. So I ended up getting in, and then 9/11 hit. It was in August when I got accepted, and I was going to go till the 19th. I remember I was out painting the house that I lived at. It was my parents' house, so it could be rented. I'm like, oh, we're going to war. I knew we were going to war. So they sent me to Fort Jackson for reintegration. I got to keep my rank. I got out at it as a specialist. Well, actually, I was a sergeant. I got to keep that rank,
E5?
E5.
Okay.
So I came back in as the E5. That's what I got out as. And they
So you were out for a few years before
4
you
years.
went, 4 years before you went back in, okay.
So then they sent me to Bamberg, Germany. So
Right, I mean, you didn't have to do basic training
nope,
over nothing,
just-
you just went right.
it was
right to
2
Germany.
weeks at Fort Jackson, and off I went. And when I was at Fort Jackson, there was really no accountability. Show up for the first formation, and then they're like, well, you're CID, so you're probably spying on us anyway, so you do what you want.
Yeah,
Okay, just show up to formation. I can do that. You know, that's what they used to say when we were at Vicenza at the nuke site. Out of sight, out of mind.
yeah,
If you're hanging around the barracks and the first sergeant sees you, you're going to be sent off to do something, and it probably won't be fun. So I figured that out pretty good. But
So
I had no trouble doing the work. You know, you get bored.
so you're in Germany for,
Well, I was in Germany till 2009 then.
so you're there quite a while.
Yeah, except for I had a year they sent me to Afghanistan.
From Germany?
Yeah.
Okay, and what did we do in Afghanistan?
Well, while I was in Germany, I did put in my warrant officer packet.
Okay,
So then they sent me back to the other spot in Alabama. I can't remember it right now.
for us that don't know, what does a warrant officer do?
Well, they're the cool guys. So there's enlisted, and I could have topped out at like sergeant major or something like that. you know, a lot of, maybe not would have made it that far, maybe first sergeant. And then there's the officers, you know, lieutenants, captains, and whatnot. The warrant officer in between. And the warrant officer, they do get saluted. All right, as a W01, you're called a mister, and then after that, you're called chief. And we are the specialist in our field. We know our field better than anybody. So I was going to be a CID chief warrant officer. That was my goal. And that's what I did. Now, the other warrant officer or the helicopter, you can go right in and become a warrant officer if you're a helicopter pilot. And that's all they do is helicopters. So they become the technical expert. But that's what I wanted to do, and some of the people that were warrant officers were not, I'm like, their advice was not good. So I'm like, I don't want to take orders from him, I better do that. So that's what I went in to do. Doesn't mean my advice would have been better, but, you know.
So, as a warrant officer, you did what?
Investigations.
You're still CID?
Still CID.
Okay.
You know, they have chief of police. Well, I was the chief of my office when I got to that level.
Okay.
You know, I was a team chief working for another chief.
So how many years did you have in total?
17.
17?
Yeah. Then I got medically retired.
Medically retired, yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you retired, you went into,
Well,
you came home
I came home then. I had enough of investigations.
to New Folden or
Yeah,
Thief River?
well, I came back and I had bought a cabin in Middle River, and that's where I live now.
Middle River, that's right,
Yeah.
okay. And you're the Legion commander there now, aren't you?
Commander, yeah.
Yeah. And so then, not long after you got back, you got in as service officer, right? Veteran
Correct.
service officer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long you been doing that?
Since 2013, 8
Yeah.
years.
And you've done a great job. You've gotten a lot of veterans, well-needed benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can attest to that. I was one of your first success stories. I'm not going to tell them my name, but
Yeah, you were the first 100% one.
yeah.
So,
But
Yeah.
anyway, is there anything else you want to add here, Brett?
well, yeah, there's more. So I got back from the warrant officer school. I was the team chief, and then I got selected. We deployed five-guy unit. That's it, 5 of us for the year.
CID.
CID. And we went to Afghanistan. 4 of them went to Bagram. I deployed by myself, an Army 1, to Kandahar. So that was, when I got there, I'm like, what in the hell did I get into? It seemed like it was 1878. You get there and the buildings had no floors. It was dirt with a stick roof with grass on top. It was like, no way. You know, they had tent cities and stuff like that, and we did have a decent barracks room, but you go out to the FOBs, which was a forward operating base, and one of the first ones I went out to was, they call it the Alamo. And it was just a 4-cornered building with 4 corners with machine guns in 2 corners and Mach 23s in the other one. I think that's what they're called, they're grenade launchers. And you know, they operated from there, and they went out and did their patrols and stuff. I had to go there because somebody committed suicide out there. So that's why I was sent there to investigate what happened to this guy. And
How long were you out there?
I was out there a week, but they would give me my own Apache to take me out, well, not an Apache, but a
Helicopter.
helicopter. Well, that's a helicopter, but which one was it? Blackhawk. So we'd send us out on a Blackhawk. So it was pretty good. They called me. At that time, CSI was pretty popular, and being I was the head of the investigations, they called me Grissom.
Call you what?
Grissom.
Grissom.
Yeah, from
Oh,
CSI. He was the head guy in that show.
Yeah.
So I'd go up and do command briefings. I did weekly briefings up to my people up at the Pentagon, and these briefings go straight at that time as Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld. So I did some war crimes over there. I did several suicides. We had one National Guard unit. They all got stoned, high on different drugs. Valium was a big one, and I'm trying to think of the other. It's a tar. It's heroin. And they brought the whole works into me, and I had 30 guys to interview, and no help. And I was interview them, fingerprint them, document it all, collect all the evidence. We had bags and bags of pills, and I was doing this all on my own.
This is out at one of these fobs, or?
This was at my main base. They brought them into me. Because I
Okay.
told them there's no way I can get out and do all that, still be responsible. The area I was in charge of was the size of Texas. And it was my job to take care of that. And if I really needed somebody, they would send me one other guy. Well, I was busy doing this, and I had some rapes, and then we had the one weekend we had 3 bodies in a row. 3 people committed suicide in a row.
Military.
3 military.
Personnel, okay.
With no help. And I got no sleep, and I was getting ready it was the second one happened. I got the call, and I finally was told, when I called my boss, I said, I got another body. Please send help. Because I haven't slept in 2 days. It was getting to be a lot, but you can't stop. So, because when you're in there with this body, and it is. The first guy shot himself right here, and his whole head blew out. Now, this guy, when he got killed, he was told, and it was in his records, that he had a mental health issue, and he was not to go be deployed. They sent him anyway. He had been pacing, and they had taken his rounds away, but yet he's guarding the base, along with 4 other ones. Well, these other ones weren't paying attention because they weren't taking it serious. One guy put his rounds down, his gun, his M16. He took the magazine out, put it in his gun, walked back in the building, and shot himself. So it was a mess. Then the other guy, the next one, he was out at a guard shack by himself, and it was supposed to be a 2-man position. And he was on the runway. Well, he was by himself, and he's another one that the doctor said he should not be deployed. Well, he got bored, and he put his head down, put the gun up to his head, and put his hand down here and pulled the trigger. Shot himself twice in the head. And it was everywhere. I mean, it was way worse than the first one. And then the other guy, another guy that was not supposed to be deployed, was at a FOB. He shot himself. He went down below, and he had gotten in some trouble with the unit and was not getting picked to go on patrol. So when they they went on patrol. He got a hold of a pistol, went down below in their little basement area and shot himself in the head. They weren't supposed to move the body back until I got out there. Well, the body was already at the morgue as I was getting ready to catch a bird, so I had to get them to delay the bird, and had to go in and process his body in the morgue before I could go out there.
He was already back.
He was already back. So the crime scene was totally violated. But the evidence was still in pretty good shape down there, and nobody had went down in that area that I could tell, because I could see footprints.
So crime scene, so to declare it a suicide, you had to put all...
Well, we can't declare nothing as suicide until after a psych autopsy is done on the individual. Because if we say it's suicide and it's not, then people think it's an Army cover-up.
So if it's a suicide, does the family still get their...
They still do.
They still do, okay.
Yeah. And the Army was negligent on all three of them because they should have never been out there. So
were there lawsuits with that?
I don't.
That you don't know? Okay.
But yeah, that kind of, when I got back from all that and still more stuff going on, and then the help I did get left, I'm like, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed a break. The lawyers came and they were like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, I just didn't talk to nobody. I just shut the door, didn't answer the phone. It was tough, but there's nothing else to do, so you get back to work.
See, the three of them has got to pretty much put the juice to you. That's got to be tough.
Yeah, it was, and there's no break. There's no mental break. And that happened more, and there was still more. We had one time, it was a few months later, I was busy with some more stuff. We had a big postal raid. The people that were working in the post office, the whole platoon of 30 people, were stealing everybody's mail.
And these are military
These are
people?
military. These are soldiers stealing from soldiers. Soldiers were not getting their mail. You know, people would send them a video camera stolen.
They'd go through it to see what they could sell it.
Whatever it came in, they were just stealing it. And I tracked it all down, and we got them all. They all got court-martialed, but you know, it's a mess, and still got no help. And I'm dealing with that, and then I get a call from a boss. He says, "Just stop what you're doing. Don't do anything else." I'm like, okay, whatever it is, I got to still deal with it. And then he said, "Just stop. Just listen to me now." So I said, "All right, what is it?" And I went to school with him, but he outranked me by one. And he said, "We got another unit that just did some war crimes. You're going to have to go and investigate the whole unit." Now, what they did is they killed an Afghan, did not follow the proper use of rules of engagement. Shot this guy up and then drug his body, and they were playing a bunch of propaganda, disgracing the Afghan people about not coming to get the body of this guy, because they were trying to get the Taliban to come out. This guy wasn't Taliban.
He was Taliban?
He was not.
He was not Taliban.
And I think there was burned body. There was a CNN report on it. So I had to interview all the people and find out where it went wrong, and there was a lieutenant that screwed up on it. And it's ironic because when I first got there, I saw this lieutenant. And I said, "I'm going to see him later in my office." 'cause he didn't look right. He was the one that gave the bad order. I couldn't believe it, but I mean, you just feel it. You do it long enough. So it was stressful, but I got through it. I cleared the one colonel. And like I said, we worked it down to, we saw where the disconnect was and who made the violations.
How long did you do this in Afghanistan?
And this was a year.
Your
Yeah.
your duty?
Yeah. No. When I left Afghanistan, I did not want to leave. I felt guilty for leaving.
Did you try to extend, or?
Yeah, I asked them to extend, but they weren't going to let me. They sent 2 to replace me.
From what it sounds, a year was enough.
A year was enough. It was not good. But it was good. I'm very proud of being there and doing what I did.
What year was it you got out of Afghanistan then?
I was there 2005 to 2006. And when I came back, I finished up as general crimes team chief. Then I put in and got promoted and got my own office where I was the boss. I was the boss in Afghanistan too, because I was my own office. A satellite office, but I was the boss of it. So, and then I was in Bamberg, back at Bamberg, when I got my own office there, and again, it's stressful because we weren't a very big office, but there was 5 of us, and then I put in for become a polygraph examiner.
A who?
Polygraph examiner.
Okay.
So then I went to school
You're stateside now?
Well, when I got accepted to do that, I also found out I had cancer.
So where are you at now?
I was in Germany when I got accepted. And then they sent me to polygraph school in Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay.
And that was very, very stressful. Every test had to be a 90 or above. And then I learned how to be, the polygraphs do work. They do. It depends on the examiner and his questions, but they do work.
Did you enjoy that, doing that work?
I would have enjoyed it if I wouldn't have went through my health went to hell. So my head wasn't into the game. It's not a game, but you got to play the part. You got to get the people the child abusers, the rapists, the people that kill people, the murderers. You have to befriend them so they tell you what they did.
That's got to be tough.
So it is a great job, but it's a stressful job because you're rated on your confessions, your solve rate, your clearances.
So you did that for how long?
I did that for, another 2 years.
And you're in Germany that whole
No,
time?
then I was at Fort Riley, Kansas.
Oh, you're in Fort Riley too? Okay.
And I said, I need to go back to being a chief of an office, and then I got the Fort Riley office, and that was like 25 people with a
CID?
full drug team. And I was there until I got medically retired.
Okay.
And it's ironic just like when I started at CID with a murder, I ended with a murder. When we had solved a murder, it was another 2 privates that were buddies. They went out and got drunk. Another one that had a mental health condition. He was seeing people. So he was seeing hallucinations. They went and got drunk. They had some knives. His buddy turned around and he got stabbed in the suspect stabbed him in the back of the neck. That was, before I got out, they brought him in and I got to question him, but he lawyered up right away, so we didn't get the confession, but we knew it was him. We had the proof. It's only two in the room. But yeah, lots of blood.
So you retired again,
Retired, and that's how then I found this job. And
and
this-
that's how you ended up on this job?
There's no more, I still get late calls from some vets, but that's okay, because I'm not going to, dead bodies. Not going to see dead babies.
Yeah. So you're okay with the job you're doing now? I mean, you're doing a hell of a job as a veteran service
Best
officer.
job in the world.
You're well respected. A lot of people come and see you. Even you get people from outside Marshall County coming in here.
I do.
And everything I've ever heard is nothing but positive remarks. And we thank you for your service and thank you for this interview, Brett.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.